Record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Governance Code, Chapter 551. We will begin with the saying with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, first item up will be a roll call. Ms. Felicia Moody. Here. Ms. Debbie V. Gomez. Here. Mr. Sean Glovier. Here. Dr. Maria Douglas. Here. Daryl Owens is here. Ms. Maria Cruz Perez is on her way. And Mr. Esteban Serta will be absent on tonight. Okay? All right, next will be our public comments on agenda items.
None for on agenda.
We have no speakers signed up for on agenda items. We'll then go to any speakers that may have signed up for non-agenda items.
We have one.
We have one. Okay. So our speaker for tonight on our non-agenda item is Ms. Is it Swinsa? Yes. Ken Swinsa. Okay. And Ms. Swinsa, if you will come up. So Ms. Swinsa, you have 4 minutes to speak. And just so you know, the board will not be giving any comments back to you regarding your speech. And Dr. Douglas will be your timekeeper. She'll let you know if you get to 3 minutes.
Sure.
Okay.
So today I stand before y'all to discuss an important topic that affects each and every one of us at our schools, the dress code. As we strive to create an environment that fosters both learning and comfort, I believe it's time to consider an update to our current dress code policy. Specifically, I propose that we allow sweatpants, athletic shorts for students in all grades. Imagine walking through the halls of our schools, seeing students expressing their personal styles while being comfortable enough to fully engage in the classroom discussions and activities. This change would promote a positive and inclusive environment where everyone feels at ease. Additionally, we know that wearing comfortable clothing can help reduce distraction, allow students to concentrate better on their studies, and excel academically. Additionally, let's consider the practical aspects. Additionally, let's consider practical aspects. For many families, the cost of clothing can be a burden. Allowing sweatpants and athletic wear provides an affordable and versatile option for students. These items are not only comfortable, but durable, making them suitable for daily wear. Furthermore, many other schools have already embraced this shift, recognizing the benefits of allowing students to wear athletic wear. Together, we can create a dress code that promotes inclusivity and comfort while still upholding our school values. I urge you all to consider the advantages of updating our dress code, adding sweatpants, athletic pants, and athletic shorts across all grades. Let's embrace a more comfortable and supportive environment that empowers us to learn, grow, and thrive. And I did a petition, and I now have 247 signatures. Some include your staff, your teachers, comments, and I obviously don't have contacts for all parents in the district, but just in a few days, 247 parents want this change. I think it's needed. I think it's time. Our districts around here have a free-for-all dress code. We're just asking for sweatpants, athletic shorts, track pants. Me personally, I have a younger kid who doesn't exactly fit into jeans comfortably. He's also had a skin graft, so he needs those loose, comfortable clothes to make him feel more comfortable in the everyday environment. So I just ask y'all to consider this and add it to the agenda item for our next board meeting, and let's go ahead and get this done. Thank you.
Thank you.
3 minutes.
Okay, all right, awesome. Thank you, Ms. Swanson, for your comments. All right, so next we will move to section number 5, which is the special district recognitions. Dr. Jean.
All right, up first is Ms. French and our Kennedale High School robotics team. They have a announcement to make. So, sorry, no, Ms. French. You, come on. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, yes. All right. Another. So the Kennedale Wildcat Robotics team for the past year has been working with the UTA Computer Science and Engineering Department to procure a $3,000 sponsorship for our program. And I actually have a representative from UTA who consequently is my mother to come talk to you about how the sponsorship happened, why they want to help Kennedale Wildcat Robotics. So if she could come down here for a moment. She is the, I should introduce her a little bit better. She is the master's, what is it? You? Yeah, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Donna French, and I am a senior lecturer and graduate advisor at the University of Texas at Arlington. I work in the computer science department. And our department, we have a committee that does outreach to K through 12, and we would like to sponsor the Kennedale Robotics Club as part of that outreach process. So the chairman of my department has agreed to and has signed the form to donate $3,000 to the department. And in return, we would like them to advertise UTA in our computer science department, which they've done. They've put it on their t-shirts, and we will be providing them with promotional materials to hand out at their meets. So we will be, trying to get our local kids to come to the college down the street. So that was our purpose.
It wasn't part of the agreement also for us to host a tournament? Or?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain that?
The chairman of our department offered a higher endowment here if you could host a contest. So because you can host a contest, because you did it last year, and he was aware of that, he asked that if you could host another one, then the dollar amount would be much larger. And that's why it's at the $3,000 level. Okay.
I'm going to ask Mr. Cagle to talk about the tournament that we've been sponsoring. So, all right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All the Frenches of the world are good. Great teacher and great parent, and we appreciate UTA support. But we are hosting Best Cowtown Robotics Regional Tournament, and Dr. G called me down. It's the end of a long day, and I'm going to forget. I believe it is November 1st and 2nd. That is the Friday. Yes. It is It's Friday and Saturday. Friday will kind of be setup day, and also what do they do on the Friday? When they that's when teams check in and they do their presentations. And Saturday it is full go. They live stream the event with all kinds of techno music. It's really upbeat music, and it is a neat event. But it brings in quite a few schools. I mean, some of the robotics teams, ours will be a size-wise. Say we're going to be a medium-sized team at that event. Is that about right? And then there are some of the larger schools. I know Eaton last year was the big winner of the Cowtown, and they had, I believe it looked like about 40 kids in lime green shirts. So it's a neat event, and it's class 1A, or it's actually homeschool to 6A. And it brings out the best in the state. And Kennedale Robotics is right in the pack. And I know Ms. French went to some professional development this summer and won some awards herself at that. And we are seasoned and ready to go. And I've got a group this year, those students you see that are sitting up there. This is a good returning group, and they have already started planning to take home that championship. So.
All right.
So I'm going to ask if your team could come down with your...
Sure. Can I introduce one other person?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. He deserves recognition. So my biggest supporter and one of the mentors that helps me with everything is actually my husband, Jack. Stand up. He is a mechanical engineer for Bell Helicopter. He has been to every single competition, and he mentors the kids and is a volunteer, and just I wanted you to know that there's a Bell helicopter engineer helping with this team.
That's awesome.
Maybe we'll get them to help sponsor
Thanks, Jack.
too.
Yeah, yeah. We've also some other cool things that we've done, or but also kind of just me, a little. We actually were able to procure a 3D printer. It was donated to us for free by a friend of my husband's. It's large, and we have all the materials for it, and it was just a blessing to be able to find it. So it's like a $600 or $700 3D printer that I was able to get donated.
Wow,
So
nice.
that is something we have now, and looking forward to going back to my larger room where I can put all this stuff. So, all right.
And if we could have them come down and we'll take pictures
All right.
for the donation.
Thank you, guys.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Oh, my dad's here too. He also works for UTA. He's working on his doctorate in computer science. Okay, that's perfect. Good job. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, they just came in. They had to have things on it. I love it. Well, that's because female involvement is so important. It's my biggest goal. So no, I know. I'm loving that. Yep, I did. There's a whole separate pink shirt. There's a whole separate pink version of the shirt. So. Awesome, guys.
Thank you. Dr. G, we're still in your wheelhouse.
All right, so now we have our summer and August. Well, August is part of summer, but I guess the back to school fall awards for the district. We didn't have a whole lot, so we just combined them all from the summer and August. So, and I believe we're starting off on Ms. Douglas. So, yeah.
There's somebody before me, but okay. I'll do the second. I'll do mine that I was assigned. Kevin Blount, Kim Hunt, Linda Madrano, Lindsay Hammonds, Monica Stevens, Michael Cagle, Monica Hall, Nicole Barnes, Rachel Brooks, Sarah Humphrey, Shelley Fajewski, Stacy Zachary, Todd Lee, and Wendy Gibbs.
I guess I'll pick up, so we got Araceli Monica, also at the high school, Brittany Nunn, Candy Allstott, Carol George, Christy Vick, Demora Jones, Dejanira Doherty, Dr. Jacques Robinson, Heather Kane, Jennifer Andrews Cox, Jessica Harris, John Bowles, Carla Gallegos, Kelly Wilson, and then at Arthur, we've got Brandy Rasmussen. At Delaney, Denise McKessick. Okay. Patterson is Rachel Rigsby, and Sandy Manning.
Okay, and I will be in central office and the junior high. The central office, Ashley, is it Sawatsky? She has 2. Carrie Shue, Dee Dee Grimes, Jordan Dunlap, Pam Berry, and Miss Toya Keys. Kennedale Junior High School, we have Casey Thompson and Daniel Wagner.
Very good.
All right, congratulations, everyone.
And so then I get to pick which ones stood out. And so at the high school, we have Kelly Wilson. She's our band director. This is from a Kennedale ISD parent. Her nomination was from the parent. Kelly goes above and beyond for her kids. She pushes these kids as hard as she can to make them sure that they reach their full potential. The potential that she sees in them, even if they don't see it themselves. My daughter wouldn't have made it through freshman year without her.
Awesome.
And Ashley, who got 2 from central office, my administrative assistant. Mrs. Sawatsky consistently demonstrates exceptional teamwork and initiative. She spearheaded the implementation of My School Bucks, improving parent and campus convenience. She also supported the maintenance department in preparing their online auction. She is the go-to person when you need help on a project. There is no doubt her goal is to make Kennedale ISD an even better place. That's from a fellow staff member. And then at the junior high school, Ms. Casey Thompson, she is the attendance clerk there. Ms. Thompson was an absolute rock star on registration night at KJH, selling spirit shirts. I couldn't have done it without her help. Her patience showing all the parents how to maneuver through the My School Bucks and to pay online when some were having issues was phenomenal. I also enjoyed watching her communicate with all the students and families. The relationships she has built goes to show you how far her commitment to the excellence in KISD, fellow staff member. So, thank you and congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations. Great, okay. Well, thank you, Dr. G, for that, your portion. We'll now move to part 6, which is going to be the consent agenda. And all items under this subheading will be adopted with one motion unless they are removed from the consent agenda by a trustee for discussion. That will include the board minutes from last meeting, financial statements, and certified list of T-test appraisers. And I've gotten a request for anything to be removed, so I will accept the motion to accept the consent agenda this time.
I'd like to make a motion to approve all items under the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Villagomez and second by Mr. Clovier. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. That will take us now to section 7 of our agenda. And that's the business item requiring action. We'll start with 7A, discuss and consider guaranteed maximum price for Kennedale Junior High School. Dr. G, who do we have?
We got Mr. Gab Bois, who will be leading us through these tonight.
All right.
Don't sound so excited. Good evening, board members. Good to be with you tonight. We do have the guaranteed maximum price to present to you tonight. I hope you have it in your package. We received subcontractor and vendor bids on August 6th for this project with Steel Freeman. We got really good coverage. Had over 150 different independent bids provided for the project. Once we scrubbed them, validated that scope was covered adequately within their relative proposals, we hammered through alternates and options, actually looked for some ways to find some value, and the subcontractors were good at bringing that back with their respective pricing. But I'm here tonight to present a recommended guaranteed maximum price of $21,936,617. We went into this with a budget of $22 million for construction, so I feel pretty good about where we landed. This leaves us a little over $900,000 to cover furniture and incidentals as we go through it, and we still haven't tapped the extra FF&E that we set aside for new furniture at the campuses, so we're in good shape with this proposal, and I recommend you guys consider approving that. If you do, once we get contracts, bonding, different things worked out, I would expect that we would see dirt moving in probably within the next 30 days.
150 bids, that's pretty high for what we normally get, isn't it?
It's pretty good. I mean, this was a nice sized project. I mean, it's you know, compared to maybe Patterson and Delaney, given the fact that a large portion of this addition is a storm shelter, it will actually house the entire student population of the campus. We were a little anxious about going off that ledge, but we needed to do it, and I think it's a good call. Originally, you might recall, we were talking about doing it in the gym, but the structural enhancements to that were cost prohibitive, and so we incorporated that into this design. We feel really good about where we're at.
The storm shelter is going to be in the new science wing, is
Yes,
that correct? Okay.
They'll be able to exit directly from the campus into the storm shelter entry, and a large portion of that addition is all protected structure.
If we broke this down into needs and wants, does this cover all of our needs and our wants? Or
It
just
covered everything, and then some.
okay. Seems like a pretty good number based on what we had projected, or we had budgeted. Okay. Any questions from any of the board members regarding that? Then I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve amendment number 1 to Steel and Freeman's contract as presented.
Okay.
Second.
So that was presented by Dr. Douglas and second by Ms. Debbie Villagomez. All in favor, let it be known by the sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Gadbois. We now go to 7B, and that's discuss and consider a schematic design for Patterson Elementary.
Much like standing in for Josh Cochran last month, I'm standing in for Antonio Naylor this month with Reliance. I want to walk you guys through where we're at. We've got some fun stuff to look at here, and I think maybe you'll reflect a little bit on Arthur and the changes that were made at that campus. We're hoping to do the very same thing at Patterson as well as Delaney. But tonight we've got the schematic design. If our technology guru will bring it up here. He's got control, not me. We've had a series of meetings with staff and administration going through these to really take, I guess, the ideas that we talked about and the numbers that we put together for the overall bond portion related to Patterson, and have come up with some good ideas, not just dressing it up, but also improving how the campus itself functions. The first part, I want to take you through our overall site strategy here. You guys might know if you pulled in and you parked there in front of that west wing as you're looking at Plan West. For some reason, at the end of the parking lot, they closed that off. We're going to open that up and create the continuous drive through the campus. We're also making some pretty substantial improvements to the drive on the south there to add additional parking for the campus. We've talked through a couple of strategies based on age group and the fact that some kids get dropped off and go to the gym prior to school starting, and some go to the cafeteria for breakfast. So what we've created is a way to queue a lot of cars, up to 70 cars, get them off the street and allow parents to drop their students off either at the gym or the cafeteria, likewise pickup. And we'll do bus drop off at the canopy in the front there, which we'll be painting. We're widening the drive there at that one entrance so that parents can exit and access the campus more easily. Probably the most substantial change to some of the concepts we talked about early on is we've moved the library from the front corner to the rear of the campus. There's a couple reasons for that. One is you've got a lot of utilities there. And I'm having nightmares of the baseball concessions project, but there's water, there's a major electrical feed to the campus that comes through that area. You've got your flagpole there. And I guess more importantly, once we really started trying to map out how we were going to tackle this guy, that would really create a constructability challenge. If you can imagine skyjacks and contractors and concrete trucks and everything else right there at the entry where not only buses but parents and staff and everybody's trying to get in and out throughout the day, protecting that, isolating it, and still effectively getting the work done during normal hours was going to be a challenge. Towards the rear there, we don't have any utilities that are a conflict. It's a flat area, and it provides a lot of opportunities, which I'll share with you in just a moment, but it does provide easy access for the entire campus to a nice facility that'll be easy to build, and I'll walk you through that. But that's kind of the overall strategy for how we're going to lay the site out as we move forward with this. Of course, on the inside, much like Arthur, we're talking paint, we're talking flooring, we're talking ceiling tile. We're talking about a tile wainscot in the corridors to make those corridors more durable, more easy to maintain. And I think Ms. Mode and her staff each summer spend a lot of time painting corridors and taking handprints and feet prints and everything else off the corridors. So we're looking at a lot of upgrades, and much like Delaney, we're going to look at a wayfinding strategy with our finishes so that we'll have color-coded corridors for the various grade levels, so students can easily identify, I need to go to the blue hall, the yellow hall, or that type of thing. There's a few things noted there in the admin area. We're going to sort of rearrange that with the millwork. We're replacing all the old millwork in there. We're going to change that furniture area and actually create a transaction window just like we did at Arthur, because frankly, I think a lot of parents, they show up, they need to drop off a lunch or a folder, that type of thing, don't need access to the campus. So they can do that exchange in the secured vestibule, and it'll be easy for the administration to manage that. Where the library is now, we're going to convert that. You know, we've got windows there so you can have observations. We're going to convert that to a STEAM academy. We're taking that all the way down to the elementary level, so we're going to take advantage of that nice space there. You can see how we're looking at the the addition of the library there. To the west, within the gym, we're looking at flooring, new flooring, more resilient flooring. It's got a little bit of a cushion to it. It'll have the look of a wood gym floor, but it's a laminate type application that has some cushion to it. I think it's perfect for the age group. We're also looking at AV upgrades and a new motorized bleacher system in that gym space, so they can have assemblies there, perhaps little dribblers, that type of thing, but also can be opened up and have a large space for the campus to use. This gives you an idea of some of the things we're thinking about for the library. We're going to have a computer area, so technology will be available. We've talked about having a sort of a history wall for the campus, so folks can look at that. We're also looking at various ways to handle circulation as well as reading, just a different type of environment to engage kids and give them an opportunity to take advantage of I guess what amounts to a changing strategy in terms of libraries. It really becomes more of a collaborative area, more of a media type center, something that can really open up other educational opportunities for the students. There's other things we've looked at, mostly furniture. Furniture is going to play a big part in how we lay this thing out and how we integrate not just the resources in the space, but also how the space can be used for the campus. You'll notice we see an opportunity to create a covered outdoor learning space there. I think there's great chances and opportunities for not just staff, but students to explore and exploit that space. So placing it out there creates some really good opportunities, given the fact we're also going to have playscapes out there as well. Just some concepts we've come up with. These are going to continue to be refined. The principal had some great ideas for outdoor learning spaces, and we're going to try to incorporate some of those to get kids active on the campus. There's talk about a lot of glass, and that's the other idea about moving it back. We're going to be back behind a secured fenced area, and so opening up this space to light, natural light, and giving the space some life, if you will, I think is going to be fun as we explore this and expand on opportunities to make that space attractive and engaging for the student population. This is kind of the color scheme we've landed on here. Try to be fresh and bright with the colors. As we go through the building, we're looking at some flooring here on the left. It's going to give it a fresh light appearance. The tiles you see on the right, the style there in the middle is sort of the accent that we're using. The field tile on the walls is going to be that slate, not slate gray, but kind of a light gray, off-white type color. And as we blend that with our color schemes, these, again, going back to the colors we've selected, you see some wall paneling there, you see the tiles and what they might look like in the applications. And this is kind of what we're envisioning in the corridors. You'll note that we've got, I talked about wayfinding and tagging corridors specific to colors, and then taking that upper band there as an accent and putting that primary tile color more prevalent in those bands, still giving a lot of color, but not just making it all green or all yellow, giving it some life, but again, taking that primary accent color and using that in the upper portion of the wainscot to continue that wayfinding stimulus through the corridors. This is what it might look like in the corridor with the marker boards or tack boards. And then this is how it might look in the gym when you're looking at the stage. Again, bringing those colors in, livening up the place a little bit. We're actually going to flip the way the fixed basketball goals are. We're still going to have some retractable goals in the gym, but the bleachers are going to be on the opposite side. They'll be retractable as well. I think we've scheduled it much like Delaney for about 250 seats, so nice size, nice seating. And then finally, to address the sound, if you've been in there when the kids are having fun, it's pretty loud. So we're going to look at incorporating the colors into a sort of cloud acoustical panels, hanging those between the bar joists, not the bar joists, between the purlins, so that we'll sort of minimize the crazy echoes that take place in the gym. But I think we picked a nice color scheme. I think the principal's on board. Like I say, we're going to try to incorporate as many of her great ideas on the outdoor learning space specific to the library space, but really liven it up and bring some life back to the campus. But more importantly, bring some materials and finishes in there that are going to reduce your life cycle costs, reduce your maintenance. No more stripping and waxing every summer, no more painting every summer. A really durable facility that will last you for years to come. And that's where we're at with our schematic design.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting and creatively impressive. I just made that term up. Creatively impressive.
That outdoor learning spot with in conjunction with the library.
Nice.
That's
It's gonna be
awesome.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that is an action item for us to take the next step and start our design development. We want you, kind of want your blessing on that.
It is.
Well,
Well,
And
I think if there are no more questions, I guess we can take a look at entertaining a motion for that.
I move to approve the design for R.F. Patterson Elementary as related to the 2023 bond as presented.
Second.
So that was motion by Mr. Glovier and second by Ms. Villa-Gomez. You really clicked on that. Good job. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by aye.
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 Any opposed? And that motion passes unanimously as well. Now it's to 7C, discuss and consider the baseball, softball, and indoor turf contract. I wonder who's going to be presenting for that.
Well, not really under our wheelhouse here for the bond program, but as part of the team here, Ms. Mode's out having fun, taking some time off. I think getting operated on, but I told her I'd help her out with this. The district issued through their consultant CEI a request for proposals for replacing the turf at the baseball, softball, as well as the multi-purpose facility. We got really good responses from folks all over the country, believe it or not. Went through the rankings based on price as well as similar experience. We kind of looked at geography a little bit. We ranked them based on the criteria and the documents that they presented to us. And we ranked Paragon Sports Constructors as the #1 ranked firm. And we're asking you guys to consider them as preferred vendor, not preferred vendor, but the low proposer to specifications, and based on their qualifications as a contractor for the turf replacement. Total amount, including all of the alternates, was $1,378,930.
And what was the budget on that we had?
I don't think you had a budget. I think you, actually, that's a little bit lower than what we had put in the contract. Actually, quite a bit lower than what we
I was
had
gonna
in the
say,
bond
when we
proposal.
first talked about it a month or two ago, it was higher than that.
Yeah.
So I was actually rereading, thinking, wait, is this all three? Because I was thinking.
It is.
It is.
I was expecting.
They got very competitive. There were a couple on there we were hoping to be a little more competitive, but it was good responses, and that's our recommendation.
That's great.
And just for my purposes, we did not necessarily go just with the cheapest, right? That wasn't.
We did not. There were challenges that we saw when we looked through their qualification statements. One firm that ranked second is out of South Carolina, actually. They had a good price. They're out of South Carolina. They have very little work in the Texas area, in Texas or in this region. And so brought a little bit of concern. They're trying to tap in, candidly, to the Texas market, and I wish them well. But given what we're faced here, price wasn't the only factor involved. And so Paragon has a ton of work in Texas.
How many bids did we
They
get?
ranked a little bit higher, sir.
How many bids did we get?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
There's
8.
8 on here.
Is there 8?
And at least 2 of them were more expensive, Mr. Owens.
Yeah.
I know, I just wanted to get it on.
Yeah, I'm just adding to your open discussion. A lot of them are higher.
I have a question. So the last meeting that Ms. Gomez referred to, we talked about the replacement of the turf for the softball, baseball, and field house. So this one is just for the baseball, softball, indoor turf?
Correct.
So then we would need to come back and talk about turf for the field house as a
That's it.
different part? Or this 1.3 covers everything?
Well,
The indoor
there is no
field.
You're-
turf in the field
You're
house.
saying yes, it's all, okay.
When you say field house, you talking about the indoor?
I'm just,
It's the
I'm just
same
putting,
verbiage.
talking about what's on the agenda. So that's why I need
Oh,
clarification
agenda
on.
item, I think field house might refer to the multipurpose.
Field house is the indoor.
It's
So
the
then,
indoor field. We're talking about the same thing, it's just spelled, it's,
I just want to make sure that if we're spending 1.3, everything's covered.
yeah.
So in
Everything's covered.
July, it was baseball, softball, field house. Now it is baseball, softball, indoor turf. So that's everything.
That's
Mrs.
everything.
West is saying yes.
The indoor is the field house.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I think is the way it was referenced in.
Okay,
It's connected to the field house, so I think it-
that answers my question. Thank you.
So 1.3 will cover everything that we had in
We round up.
consideration
It's
before.
about 1.38,
change.
yes.
All right. Okay, any additional questions? Good presentation. So that being said, if everyone's in agreement with that we're ready, I'll entertain a motion regarding that contract.
I'll make a motion to award a contract to Paragon Sports Constructors for turf replacement and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract with the firm.
Second.
So that was a motion by Ms. Villagomez and second by Mr. Glovier. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. So the ayes have it, and that motion passes unanimously as well. We're now at 7D, discuss and consider construction management at risk for Delaney Elementary.
Now, board members, we issued requests for qualifications or requests for proposals for construction manager risk with Delaney. We went with that delivery method because we're gonna be working in an active school around kids. We wanna be able to effectively stage and phase the project while mitigating the impact on the learning environment. Got great responses. We had 7 firms submit their proposals for the project. We looked at a variety of criteria, including price, primarily focusing on general contractors that had done this type of work and had a proven record of success in working in active schools and doing this type of renovation work. And through our process of evaluation, of course, we evaluated it. Huckabee was part of that process, as well as your administrative staff, and we ranked ABG as the #1 firm responsive to our request, and would ask that you consider approving them as the CMAR for the Delaney project.
I don't have any questions for Mr. Gadbois. Do any of you guys have any questions for Mr. Gadbois? And then I will accept a motion at this particular time.
I'll make a motion to approve Authors Building Group for construction manager at risk for the additions and renovations at J.F. Delaney Elementary and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract with the firm.
Motion by Dr. Douglas.
Second.
Second by Mr. Glovier. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? And that motion passes unanimously as well. We're now to 7E, discuss, consider construction management at risk for Patterson Elementary.
All right, board members, similarly, we issued an RFP for Patterson, got a great response. We had one of the contractors that didn't propose on Delaney drop out, and a new one proposed. We went through the same process of evaluation, and based on the submittals, again, the same 2 firms were neck and neck for first and second, but our recommendation is to consider ABG. Not just for the qualifications, but I think it also provides you guys with an opportunity for some buying power, if you will. Same general contractor goes and wants to buy 70,000 feet of tile, he might get one price, but if he's out buying 150,000 feet of tile, it's gonna get a little better price. And our success at Arthur, I think, weighed on the back of a lot of our minds, but they certainly presented the resources and the experience to do this job for us. Our recommendation is consider ABG again for Patterson.
Any questions for Mr. Gadbois regarding Patterson? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve Authors Building Group for construction manager at risk for the additions and renovations at R. Patterson Elementary and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract with the firm.
Second.
It's motion by Mr. Glovier and second by Dr. Douglas. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. That motion passed unanimously as well.
All right, we can take a break now.
All right, so moving to 7F, discuss and consider adopting the amended budgets for 2023-2024.
Ms. West?
Okay, so y'all have a PowerPoint in your, I got it early this time. Okay. So y'all have it, nobody else does. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is the same information that you've seen in previous meetings. Just an update on enrollment. We are actually at 2742 as of today. So that was an updated, and we have 22 that are still in process. So that's growing. The first day of school we had 2705. So it's slowly increasing, but the good news is it is increasing. So I'll start out, and this, I think I have the next few items with the amended budget and the tax rate and the budget. So everything is all in one presentation. So if you don't mind, I'll go through all of it. So of course the 23-24 budget accomplishments, I want to celebrate on all that you've done. The three biggest thing was there was an increase to salaries for all employees as of last year. We had year one of the instrument refresh for the band, and remember that is I think a 3-year
rollout.
That we will do. So there'll be another one coming up for you soon to amend the budget for the upcoming year. And then of course the baseball and softball concession stand, which was at $1.6 million in this budget. Or we knew that it was going to be on top of the budget. Let me rephrase that. So the next slide that you see in your packet, so this kind of tells you how we're going to end the year for 23-24. The first section is the general operating, and again, the things that we just celebrated for the budget, they are in this budget, although that we know that these things were approved knowing that they were going to be above and beyond and would be out of fund balance. But for auditing purposes and bookkeeping purposes, they are in the budget like all other expenditures are. So you can see the amended revenue at 31.9, the amended expenditures at 34 million with a deficit of 2 million. But look right under where it says buffer. I don't know what everybody else calls it. That's what I've called it for years. So when the auditor comes and audits, they'll go back and look at our books, and they look at it by function because that's how you all approve the budget. So if we have any, like utilities for August have not been paid yet, so they'll go back and put those back in the 23-24 books. So you want to make sure that you have enough of a buffer in those functions to pay for any expenditures. So I'll leave a decent buffer in there because it's a finding and an audit. I told Dr. G I've never had a finding, so I try to be very conservative on this. Yes, no, yes, you'll see me cry if I do. So know that buffer's there. We will not utilize all of that. We'll probably utilize maybe 50,000, 60,000 of it, maybe just with utilities and things. So that money, whatever's left, will go back into the bottom line. So we're not looking at a $2 million deficit, but that's where I'm closing the books at. And then when the auditors come and do their work, they'll work it all out, and then when they present the audit, hopefully in December, then we'll see where the bottom line really is. And this amended expenditure is a $1.8 million increase than what was originally approved. And again, it's that 1.6 with the baseball concession stand, the salaries, and the band instruments. So I will tell you, Kennedale's good at staying within their budget. I've been very, very pleased since being here to see that. The same thing with child nutrition. You can see that there's a buffer. They do have a deficit of $182,000, which is okay for child nutrition because we don't want to have too much excess in our fund balance there. But also there's a buffer of $123,000, which they will not spend on And then debt service, the same thing. There's a deficit of 21,000, which is good because that has all been prepaid to bonds. And that could be a revenue whenever we prepay the bonds in February. It may have been where we didn't get as much revenue or additional state aid. But again, the 21,000 there is okay because it went back into prepaying bonds. And now we move to the 24-25 budget. Again, the highlights, it's a conservative budget for ADA. I budget based on what the previous year was, so that's why I'm constantly looking at these enrollment numbers, because I know where I budgeted on, and they've got to get up to at least there and hopefully exceed that, or I will be amending the revenue. We talked about the compressed rate, 0.002 is where we were compressed. We've had an increase in property values, which is a good thing. It did bring our revenue up a little bit. Again, another increase for salaries for all employees. The market salary adjustments that we discussed the other night with TASB affected 98 employees, will impact 98 employees. And then, of course, just the overall inflation. And these are all just things that really, oh, thank you. These are all things that really hit into the, can I use it now? Okay. Oh, okay, sorry. Those are things that affect this upcoming year's budget for 24-25. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're back in business. Okay, and then the 24-25 proposed budget, I haven't changed a thing since you all saw it the other night. Again, on the general operating, we have a recapture amount of $113,000, which is another piece that you all will be, that's presented to you tonight because we're in recapture. That's up about $19,000 from last year. As our values go up, that recapture amount will go up. The only way to get out of it is to keep boosting enrollment, which will help level that out. So going into 24-25, we're going into it with a deficit of $615,000. Again, this does not include the turf that you all just approved. So that will be a budget amendment that will come, as well as the year 2 of the band instruments. When you have big items like that, you don't budget for them. Kind of like the baseball and softball fields, you plan that that's going to come out of savings. Child nutrition will come in even, if not maybe a little bit of a surplus. And then the debt service, as we discussed, that $5 million surplus will go into prepay the bond, which is on the agenda for tonight.
Not all 5 million.
Oh, sorry. Yes, 4.460, I think is what we're paying. There'll be a little bit left, and again, we can use that. That's part of the interest, so we can use that for other maintenance projects throughout the district, as long as it's not athletics. Again, on the compensatory funds, just a requirement that you all know that we are budgeting for Comp Ed. It's a little over $2 million. They call it accelerated instruction is what it says, but it's all your Comp Ed funds that houses those that are, pays for things for kids that are at risk, interventions, DAP, things like that. And here's your budget comparison by function. You can see the darker green is 23-24, where the lighter green is 24-25. And there's a little bit of a difference in the instruction, and I think that's just because some of the positions that we've absorbed, and then as well as just really tightening on budget overall. But you can see it's all pretty much maintain the same amount. And the debt service is down just because we had a large principal payment. Now, once we get done and we pay that extra bond, that prepayment, for next year, you'll see that 24-25 piece go back up. But that's why that's such a difference in debt service.
Facilities maintenance and operations, the dip there?
Yes, because we are able to pull, well, one, the 23-24 is a little inflated because of that buffer amount, but we're also able to pull some of those fees off for next year and put them to the bond for the interest. But we're pretty in line. And like I said, the debt service will clean up after we make that bond payment. Those will even out. And then just the overall by Fields didn't transfer over, right? Just to see where the payroll is in both general operating and child nutrition. Child nutrition is a little up, but it's still within reason. And then the next thing that'll be presented for you all tonight to consider is adopting the tax rate. I put that in the red. That's what was our last year's tax rate, our 23 tax rate. So you can see, due to the compression, we went down 0.002 cents, but our values did go up by about 121 million, which gets us about $850,000 more. Our state aid would come down a little bit, so it kind of evens out. I get a little bit of increase. And then an increase in recapture to send it back. And just a reminder on the tax rate adoption, when we adopt the tax rate, that is, just so you remember the motion that's made, it says that we are effectively increasing by a 4.9% increase. Remember, that is based against the no new revenue tax rate, as if everything stays the same, does not include state aid, recapture. They say if everything stayed the same, here's the tax rate that you would need to not bring in any more revenue. Again, it's the wording that we are required to do now. And that is it. I feel like we've talked about this a few times.
I think we talked about it a lot, but you know, it's still pretty confusing to a lot of people who don't understand the financing of
Yes.
of public education.
It's not an easy system. I
Because
think somebody said the other day, there's only like 3 or 4 people in the state of Texas that truly understand all the different weightings and the, how it all fleshes out at the end.
because it seems as if, just like last year and the year before that, the our tax rate that we have control over is actually going down.
Yep.
Yes.
But we have to make a statement that it's increasing because more revenue will be coming to the district because of the increase in value.
I'm gonna back you up for a second. So, we truly don't have control over that tax rate because
Yeah.
the state compresses us and tells us what it has to be. We have to send all this information, survey all that to the state, and they send back, yes, this can be your tax rate, or no, this cannot be your tax rate, it's gonna have to be this. So, ultimately, we really don't set it. So, I mean, the INS side, we can set, but even that is within.
There's strings attached, yeah.
There's strings.
You go up in it, then you've got a prepaid bond, so there's strings attached to that as well.
Which is a misnomer when we have to do this, and we have to put on there that we're raising people's taxes, when in reality, we are not raising people's taxes. It's
Correct.
disingenuous, and, you know, the fact that they make us do it, and because of the wording, really is a disservice. So, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna get more political than that right now. So, anyway.
Again, the understanding of the of how financing works for the public school system it's a challenge for most of us. All right. So, what additional questions do we have for Ms. West, so we can get some additional others clarification if needed? That's great. Since we've had workshops, we've had a chance to go through all of it, and we've scrubbed it and watched, rinsed, and repeated it. So we're good. Okay.
I looked at it. till
You
my
more than
eyes are
anyone.
crossed. I'm done with budget for tomorrow. I'll even look at it.
So I know there's specific language that has to be given in order to adopt this budget, so I think Mr. Glover is going to make.
That's for
for the
7H.
tax rate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're on 7F.
Okay,
So
so,
So covered 7F,
we gotta
G,
do them
and
in
H.
order.
There's still
7G,
language.
7H, and then 7I.
Exactly.
So-
okay, thank you for the correction.
You're good.
All right, so let's go to 7G now.
Yeah.
Okay, but wait,
Yeah,
we
because we
have
have
to,
to pass
excuse
that.
me,
We're on 7G.
you're right, Mr. Owens,
We're
we
on
do have, there is language for 7F. So I will make the motion. I make the motion to approve the 23-24 amended budget for the general operation, nutrition service, and debt and child services as presented. That is 7F.
Yes.
Second.
So that was done very eloquently by Ms. Moody and second by Mr. Glover. So all in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
My screen had rolled up,
So that passes unanimously. now we will move
What's
over,
the budget?
okay, to the budget. Okay, discuss and consider adopting the amended budget for 2023-2024.
That's what she just.
That's what we just
So
did, 7F.
7G, it's,
No,
well,
she
the
did
way
that.
it's written
Different.
on the agenda is what he's reading.
Oh,
So,
7F was the 23-24
With the amended budget, and now
we're
we're
on
gonna
7G, which is the
24-25.
Now we're on
24-25
7G.
budget.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For the current-
Okay.
so
Let's get it.
I move to approve the 2024-2025 proposed budget for general operating, child nutrition, and debt services as presented.
Second.
So that was motion by Mr. Glovier and second by was that
Dr. Douglas.
Dr. Douglas. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Then that motion passes unanimously. So we're now at 7.
Yeah, this one has specific verbiage, so. I moved that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of $1.1352, which is effectively a 4.96% increase in the tax rate.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Glovier, second by Ms. Cruz Perez. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion passes unanimously as well. Thank
Sorry.
you.
Sorry about the confusion, my screen had rolled up.
You have to add
Okay.
following the required language. I mean,
Okay.
Do you have to read the resolution?
So,
Or is that just for signing?
I think this is for signing. I don't have to read it. I'm supposed to read it.
So
Yeah.
you just passed it.
Yeah, we just passed it. Okay, good. All right, so thank you. So we're now at 7J, discuss and consider class size waiver.
No, aye, 7-9.
Boy, it's not a good night for me, is it?
It's not you.
So there's a lot of items on here today. So.
Let's go to 7I. Dr. G, what are we doing here?
Okay, so we have outstanding bonds that, which you were speaking to at the very end there, that we're gonna have to approve, so.
The INS rate was, we were able to maintain that 38 cents by prepaying bonds. It'll come in, we'll prepay about $4.4 million.
Okay?
Which is the last part of it for presentation.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm sorry, will you say that? You
Yeah.
said, will we prepay for
4.4 million, I think it's 4,460,000, I think is what the.
It says here 3,468,000.
4.460.
Okay. 4.46.
Okay, and just
We're
for
just-
clarification, the reason she's saying that is because
Our book
in our
says
board book,
different.
it says
3.4
Okay, so
3.4.
that was the original, I think, the information, and then that's what I can figure in truth and taxation, but when, our financial advisor, when they draw up the paperwork, they take into account the, INS hold harmless that we receive, they add that in, and then they're able to calculate it off that. In truth and taxation, I can't add any of that in.
Okay.
All I add in is strict, I don't add in the extra. So it only gave me the 3.4, but then when they got all the paperwork back, that's what it came to. And that's why it's the difference, is the INS hold harmless.
And just to clarify for anyone that may be watching or wondering, this is prepaying, so it would save money in the future of money that might be
Yes.
going towards interest.
Yes.
Yes, just like a house payment.
It's
like-
paying principal.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Oh. I move to approve all matters incident and related to provide for the defeasance and redemption of certain currently outstanding obligations of the district, including the adoption of an order pertaining thereto.
Second.
So that was a motion by Mr. Glovier and second by Dr. Douglas. So all in favor of that defeasance motion, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously as well. So that was 7I, which means we're now going to 7J.
All right.
Okay, and that's discussing consider class size waiver.
Yeah,
You?
I got it.
Okay.
So we have a few classrooms, I think there's 3 at Arthur and 1 at Delaney that exceed the 22-to-1 ratio. So if you have that, you have to file a waiver with TEA within 30 days of the first day of school. The plan for the classrooms at Arthur, I think Ms. Wells already has people in process of hiring, so to reduce those class sizes. At Delaney, they're gonna move forward with the waiver and it's a bilingual classroom, which is very hard to hire during the hiring season. So I think I've spoken with Ms. Poor and the teacher, they're good to maintain with what they have. I think theirs is 24 in the classroom. So they are in the process of hiring now, but because it's not part of our district of innovation, we have to file a waiver because we're sitting over 22 to 1 until they hire.
And just reiterate that, we're actually at 24, so it's not like, you know,
Delaney.
at currently, until.
For one classroom.
For one class, for one class at
And it's a
Delaney.
bilingual class, which is difficult to hire on a good day.
So 2 kids over.
And at Arthur,
Yes.
we're over as well, but we're hiring two teachers to cover that.
Yes.
So,
And they're at, I think, 23.
22, 23.
22, 20, yeah.
Yeah, they're not far over.
They're
They're
right
like
on
one
the
kid
line.
over. But enough to have 23 kindergartners in your class. Only one of you.
Okay, I have a question. So for the regular program, we're going to hire a teacher,
Yes, I think they're hiring 2 teachers.
2 teachers.
I believe so.
But for the bilingual program, we're going to be over and not hire someone.
Correct, and those numbers will fluctuate. It's still early in the year, but it's a requirement. The deadline is with TEA. But speaking with Ms. Poor, that's a very hard position to fill.
It is.
And
So
the teacher actually did not want to split kids out. She wanted to keep them.
So we filed this waiver. I guess one question that just popped into my head based on Ms. Moody's line of questioning, and you said that the number fluctuates. If this were to increase, what is the threshold at which we would say
You know, that's
we
a
need
good
another
question.
teacher for this?
Because I've always had it where it ends up coming down. I don't know.
Just
We can
curious.
look into that.
Just
I'll do
something
some
to keep
research.
an eye on,
Yeah.
just in
And this
case.
is one of those things where then we'll have to hire a teacher.
Yeah. I'm just curious what the threshold is. So that's it.
I don't think there is a threshold. I think it's just 22 to 1,
Mm-hmm.
anything over.
Oh, I just meant when we would say we absolutely
yeah.
need another teacher because there's too many.
Oh, you're talking like for Delaney?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that'd just be a call with the principal
They
and
would,
the teacher.
they would get their support from the paras.
We could do a para to have another body in there, another
Yes.
adult in there to help.
That'd probably be our first
That
would
first
be-
thing, would be
Gotcha.
hire a para to help, an extra para to help.
I think she had a hard time finding a bilingual teacher this year when it was, and she knew the person was leaving early on.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Bilingual teachers are hard to
Oh,
find.
yeah.
Very, very hard.
Okay.
Just for clarification for me, so it says that James A. Arthur has 2 kindergarten classes and 3 first grade classes. So really, we have a total of 5 classes there, but we're hiring 2 teachers, correct?
I think we're hiring 2 right now because I'm thinking that they may can shift some
Okay.
to get them under.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
hiring 2 could alleviate more than just 2 classrooms by the time you
Yes.
switch it around.
Well, it'll alleviate all 5, because they'll start
Yeah.
switching kids around.
Right.
Gotcha.
They'll pull kids out of one class into.
Yeah, and make
another
this,
teacher's
make
class.
both classes a little
They'll
bit
level-
smaller.
They'll level the classroom.
Our
Okay.
goal is to 18.
If you've
18 to
got-
1, okay.
If you've got 2 classrooms in kindergarten that are over, they're at 24, 23, whatever it is, you're not gonna bring one person in to take those
3
3
kids.
extra kids. You're gonna have to balance it out.
Yes.
So are they going to get a stipend?
No.
Who's-
For
who's-
bilingual?
Whoever the teacher is that's out of, we're asking for a waiver,
Mhm.
we're out of compliance. One school is getting teachers, the other one is not. If they meet a threshold, so is the teacher gonna get a stipend? Is
The bilingual teacher.
the bilingual teacher is gonna get a
They
stipend
For the,
for having
for 2
over,
additional children?
yes,
No.
she's not.
And that number can fluctuate. Those, I mean, she could lose 3 kids easily or gain more. So we'll just keep an eye on it.
Just out of curiosity, with the, I guess, term of sport, for the bilingual group, is it a group that it could be some of those kids could be exiting the bilingual program in this year? So it would
Because it's
balance out,
kindergarten.
yeah.
It's second grade.
No. Is that happening?
All right.
Ms. Moody, you had another question?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Any additional questions from the right side? Okay. Then I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve a maximum class size exception waiver for James F. Delaney Elementary and James A. Early Childhood Center as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Douglas and second by Mr. Glovier. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay?
Oppose.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are for, and we have 1 that votes nay. Majority will rule on that motion, so that motion will pass on a 4 to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1, sorry. Okay, and we'll now move to 7K. And 7K, discuss and consider the purchase of attendance credits.
This is a requirement for any district that's in recapture. The TDA sends you a letter and they say you have to pick one of these options because you're in recapture, and that's how we'll recoup some of our money. The only option, and I wish I'd have brought the other options, is to consolidate with another district. It's none of the other options are viable for us. So the one option that we, and I believe you all voted on this last year as well, is to purchase attendance credits. And we don't do anything with it. We send them the motion, and then they do the bookkeeping on their side, and that's how they recapture the money that we're over that $113,000 that we discussed earlier.
And this is not new. We did this last year as well.
Yes, sir.
Begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly, but I guess
We have to.
Yeah,
Yes.
unfortunately, we have to do it. Okay. So any questions regarding us doing the same thing this year from any one of the board members? And if there are no questions regarding that, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to delegate contractual authority to obligate a school district under Texas Education Code, TEC Section 11.1511, little c 4, to the superintendent solely for the purpose of obligating the district under TEC Section 48.257 and TEC Chapter 49, subchapters A and D, and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education as authorized under TEC 49.006. This includes approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit or the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit, parentheses, net in Chapter 48 funding.
Motion by Ms. Cruz Perez.
Second.
And second by Mr. Glovier. All in favor of approval, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. West.
Thank you, Ms. West.
We're now at 7L, where we'll discuss and consider adopting resolution to sanction 4-H.
Okay, so
extracurricular activity.
we do not have a 4-H club, but Mansfield does. So some of our students participate in their 4-H program. Without this agreement, if our students miss school for that, their attendance would not be dismissed, or excused. So this basically, by doing this understanding with them, memorandum of understanding with them, it basically just acknowledges that they are a program that we recognize and that we utilize for our students. So it really is just a technicality.
So it
Benefits
gives
our students.
Gives our student the opportunity to still participate and still get waiver or whatever the treatment is if they were to miss class for any of the other currently sanctioned extracurricular activities. All right? Okay. Any question regarding that? If not, I will entertain a motion.
As a previous 4-H'er, I would love to make this motion. Make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing 4-H as a sanctioned extracurricular activity of Kennedale ISD.
Motion by Dr. Douglas.
Second.
And that is second by Mr. Glovier. Heard him first. So, all in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes unanimously. We'll then go to 7M, discuss and consider the SRO contract with the City of Kennedale.
You doing it? Yeah, all right.
What you have before you is just a continuation of the contract we've had previously. There's no changes in it. It's still a 50-50 split with the city. And we contract the 2 SROs, one at the high school and one at the junior high. We've already been in talks with Chief Holguin, and we're going to review the contract this upcoming year for next year and make some tweaks to it and change some language in it, just update it. I think it's been a few years, but this is just a rollover of the contract that we've had.
And just for clarification, we do have 2, you said, SRO officers that we utilize, and we share 50% of the cost with the city.
Yes, sir. We share. We have one at the high school and one at the junior high, and we split it with the city 50-50 right now.
But because of the cost of the two SROs, it's more than the $50,000 threshold, so y'all have to approve it each.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And if there are no questions, I will entertain a motion again.
I'll make a motion to authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute the interlocal agreement for school resource officers with the city of Kennedale.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Villagomez and second by Mr. Glovier. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. West. So that will conclude our section where we need to, we have action items. We'll now move into our sections where we have information only. And that'll start with 8A, which is our construction project update.
And this is what Robert has been providing to you each month, so.
Thank you, board members. It's been
Too long.
about 20 years, and you remind me how much I miss being on the school board. All the fun things you get to vote on. Let me walk you through some things. We've got a lot to talk about. Some of them may not be fun, but we need to talk through it. You know, we got a lot of work going on. Based on your action tonight, it's going to be a lot more. So, a lot of activity around the district in the coming months and years. Let's talk about our roofing upgrades, specifically at the high school. You can look back at the last report. You see a lot of changes. Everything you see that's black in that upper right photo, that's where we've actually demoed the existing roof and we've got our base sheets down. That is the likely source of a lot of the complaints that I think we've been getting on smell and odor at the campuses. What we've done, and we'll be sending this to Mr. Cagle tomorrow, we have mapped out how we're going to attack the academic wing day by day. They do about 50 squares a day, 50 to 60 squares a day. In layman's terms, that's about 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. So they're moving quickly. That work, setting down the base sheet, does require the kettle and the asphalt to be placed on the building. And so we've mapped it out, and if we didn't get a drop of rain, they would be done with the kettle at the high school by about the 19th of September. The rain that's projected this next week, they can't demo the roof by code. They can't take it off if there's more than a 30% chance of rain. So in all likelihood, there won't be any work the rest of this week and into next week. So it gives some time to take a breath and work with Mr. Cagle on strategizing this. We've got a couple strategies. One is he has been a team player in this throughout, and I think has moved some kids around, but it'll give him an opportunity to see exactly where we'll be working, and if he wants to relocate a couple classrooms, he can. But we're also going to isolate those air conditioning units and close off the fresh air, which is likely the source of some of the odor that's coming into the building. I will say we've gone through the MSDS's, the safety data sheets for the materials. It is not toxic, it's not pleasant, and it can be an irritant. But we've tried very hard to be very discreet on where we place the kettle so that it's not near a main entry in the traffic area into the building. But I think we have a plan to address moving forward to minimize as much as possible work or odor entering to the campus, specifically closing off the HVAC units. We've talked a little bit about maybe even working after hours. With this type of work, it's a challenge working at night. It's not really safe. We're going to try this strategy, work with Mr. Cagle, and see if we can, address this. Everywhere you see us, as I said, in black, we've got base sheet down, and we'll be coming back with the cap sheet, and that is a torch method, so it's sort of kind of, I won't say vacuum sealed, but we heat it, and it sticks to the base sheet. So the kettle should be gone within the next few weeks. I'm going to go ahead and stretch it to 4 weeks, since we probably won't be doing any work over the next week. But we'll work with Mr. Cagle on a day-to-day basis when we think we'll be warming those kettles up, so he can make a campus-level decision on whether he wants to move kids. We're going to see how the isolation of the air conditioning goes.
Do we know what the weather is predicted for Monday?
There's 30 to 50% chance of rain for the next week.
The whole next week?
Yeah, all next week. So we're gonna likely not be working out there, and there's no sense in trying to do the cap sheet. Those guys like to mobilize and just plow through it rather than coming out and doing pieces at a time. You can see kind of on the photo top left, you look back at the two-story addition there, you can see they've already started taking off some of that existing roof, getting that sealed in. But like I say, we're a few weeks away from having the kettle gone on the high school campus. Then it's just the cap sheet, flashing, and trimming out the building. So we're well ahead of schedule on the high school project, and I think we've got a plan moving forward. Ms. Bruce will be happy to hear that the kettle is gone at the junior high. There's no more tar or asphalt being placed on the high school. You can see everywhere in white is cap sheet that's being placed. We anticipate that they'll finish the rest of that cap sheet within the next few weeks. So then it's just metal trim remaining at that campus as well. You'll see a lot of the materials being removed from the side, but things are moving along well. If we could just get the roofers to be respectful of condensate drains, life would be good. But we have had some challenges with that. But you can see a marked difference between last month and this month, specific to the junior high. At Patterson.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
and
I have a
I was
question too.
just gonna say, number one, I can confirm, I had to drop something off at the junior high office today, and there was no smell. And I
Yeah.
made a comment, and the staff that was in there said, it's been amazing today. And number two, I know a lot of people have had a lot to say about that, but I drop off and I go by that school multiple times a day, dropping off for cross country real early, you know, whatever. And I have every single time seen at least 10 to 15 people up on that roof at any given point in the day. So I know that they're working very hard to get things moving along.
I will not forget that it was 4th of July, because I said it over the summer. I drove by and I'm like, whoa, 4th of July, and they're working.
Yeah.
And I said it, yeah, they've been working throughout the summer.
I know there have been hiccups, but I just want that to be shared as well, that they've really been working hard, at least.
And I will give them credit for working hard well. We deal on a daily basis with our own little frustrations with some of those guys. But they are working hard, and the reality is they have to work when they can. If the weather permits, once they start taking the roof off, they have to finish it. And so that's why it's easy for us, I think, to try to plan and work with Mr. Cagle on the remaining portions of the high school on those portions that they know they can get in, demo, and get the base sheet down in a day. That's our goal, so we'll coordinate that.
And one thing, in speaking with Ms. Bruce and, I visited with Mr. Cagle, but the smells and the disruption, with the noise and everything, it's basically 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 classrooms in a section, because as you said, they're creating what they call squares, and those squares, they knock them out within about a day. And so the next day they're moving on to another section. So that disruption is really only to those classrooms for one day. And so that's, I think, something that needs to be kept in mind as we're looking at this.
Yeah.
So just for clarification, so the junior high, yes, the project's not done, but the tar portion is done.
That's correct.
So there's no need for the isolation of the AC units and all that kind of stuff there. There's no more tar at the high school, at the junior high, even though the entire project's not done.
That's correct.
And then, I know you said, but I think it's important to just reiterate, you said for the high school, you've already looked at the MSDS sheets, same product being used at all of the campuses. MSDS sheet says that it's not toxic.
Correct.
Okay, obnoxious maybe to smell, but not toxic.
Right.
Okay, got it.
No, that's correct. You're correct. So, and honestly, if the weather will yield, we've got about 21 days worth of work left on that campus with the kettle. So we should be out of there pretty quickly as well.
You did give an update about how long you think the project would last at the high school before they're done. But you didn't give me one at the junior high.
Yeah, they've don't hold me to it, but I'm hoping by next month when I come back, of course it'll be a week or so after we finish the kettle work, I hope. They've got several weeks, 3 to 4 weeks of getting the cap sheet down, and that's the bulk of the work. The rest of it's just metal trim. They had 180 days to do the high school, so we're way ahead of schedule. But I would anticipate by the end of October, we're seeing pretty much wrapping up.
Well, thank you, Robert. I was asking about the junior high.
Oh, I'm sorry. Same thing. I mean, we've got about 3 weeks left to get the cap sheet down, and then there's a couple weeks to get all the metal trim done around the campus, so we should be out of there.
Okay.
Pretty quick. Yes, sir.
So it rained 2 nights ago, and both the junior high and the high school had a little bit of flooding. Those things been addressed since then as we go into a week with?
So let's back up.
Okay.
Flooding is not a good
Is that-
word.
Yes.
They had some
I'm
leaks.
sorry,
So it
some
has
leaks.
That's a triggering word.
We've actually, responded to more leaks, if you will, on existing air conditioners that are hanging on by a thread. And whether it's just old drain pans that have been patched for 20 years, unrelated to roofing, unrelated to anything we're doing, but because there is activity going on up there, we get the calls, and CS Advantage and both E3 have been very good about responding and even assisting when it wasn't necessarily related to anything they were doing. We had several issues at the PAC. We're not even working on the PAC yet. So, yeah, it's been fun. But the toad stranglers that have come through have found some of the fish mouths in the base sheet and have caused some challenges. But most of the, quote, leaks have been related to condensates that weren't handled properly. And so either the drain pans overflowed or they weren't paying attention to where the condensate was going and it went to an exposed part of the roof. So it's literally a daily challenge for us. And Wary's been great. They've got personnel on site. We've got personnel on site. And we're usually there to respond within minutes when something comes up. So Patterson looks like a patchwork quilt. Not too different from the last time you saw it. The only difference is you'll see some of this special sealant. Doesn't look very magical, but it is. There were some original roof design challenges with that roof. So much so that when you do get a sideways rain, you've got some exposure. And so we've adopted some products through the specifications that allow us to seal these areas up permanently before we actually put the coating on it, which is another sealant. It took a while. We actually got some pricing to replace a lot of the valleys and some of the trim work to mitigate that challenge, but it was going to get expensive, and the materials that were specified actually do a lot to eliminate those challenges. And so once we get the sealant completed, get it primed, and get it coated again, you guys shouldn't have issues with that roof for a long time. So that's coming along nicely. We've got a couple more weeks, probably 3 weeks left on this campus to get that done. As long as weather will hold, unlike the other ones, we're not exposing anything per se. So if we've got sunshine, they can be out there and coating these roofs, and they'll be out of there pretty quickly. The work with the HVAC and lighting is pretty much coming to a pause right now. We've wrapped everything up at the field house and the standalone field house. We've got Patterson knocked out. We're working on punch lists with the lighting as well. We're just now waiting for November, December to see these other units start to roll in. And once they roll in, Ms. Mode has continued to give us a list of priority units that are beginning to say, you know what, we're tired, we need to be replaced. So hopefully E3 can work with us instead of just attacking an entire campus, can hit some of these challenges that you guys have and knock them out. But we'll see that work pick up again towards the end of the year for the HVAC. The work at the at the PAC has been a little bit frustrating. The manufacturer did us some dirt on delivery of the speakers. They're on a truck. We expect them to be here next Wednesday, give or take. And installation will take place by the week of the 9th. We should be buttoning up and testing, tuning, and commissioning the sound system in the PAC. And by the week of the 16th, we hope to have staff in there for training and be done with that project. Of course, you guys have gone through the process of improving the GMP for the high school. We've got one permit pending left with the city. They asked us to break the project up into multiple permits. For them, that's just easier to manage when it comes to certificates of occupation. You know, you've got your storage building, you've got your culinary, and you've got the interior renovation, and then you've got site work going on. So we've got one civil permit, I think, remaining, but ABG has already started providing us with submittals, so we're getting those reviewed. We've set our first owner and architect construction meeting for September 19th, and we should be mobilizing next week to get work done at the high school. That's going to start the site work and then start attacking that 100 wing. At the junior high school, you guys approved the GMP tonight, so give us a few weeks to get contracts nailed out, start the buyout, and we'll be starting that project pretty soon as well. I think everybody's excited to get that one underway as well. The work at the Central Warehouse, you guys approved that contract last month. We anticipate mobilization within the next few weeks. We just got approval on the permit, and ABG's putting their submittals together, so we'll be starting that work here pretty quick as well. I know there's some concerns about the existing freezer cooler that's at the high school. We want to get this project knocked out, get your new freezer cooler installed at this facility, and then give us some options on how to deal with your food storage district-wide with your other one. At Delaney, you guys approved the design development. We're moving into construction drawings. We actually did pretty much our final page turn this week, going through all the civil, the structural, the mechanical, the electrical, the plumbing, talking about all the issues, making sure we had everything coordinated and we were meeting with the district's expectations. That went well, so we should be wrapping up that, and with the approval of the CM tonight, we'll be able to come back to you with a review of the estimate and the scope of work before we put this thing out to bid and make sure we're on the right track with that. Likewise with Patterson, with the approval of the CMAR and the approval of the schematic design, great timing for that. We'll get those guys on board and looking at what we have, square footages, how we're going to face this. At both Delaney, with the movement of first grade over to Arthur, I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to attack these things almost a wing at a time. Much like we're going to hopscotch through the high school, do the same thing at these two campuses and get that work done much quicker than we originally anticipated. In your budget analysis, this is where we are to date. This actually reflects the inclusion of the GMP for the junior high. You can see that number jumped up to $23,523 and change. Still in good shape overall budget-wise. So as we continue to work through these projects, we're keeping in mind not just the individual, but the overall budgets. But we're in good shape, and hopefully we'll get Delaney and Patterson in under those numbers as well, and give you guys some little extra cash maybe to address some other priorities across the district. So we feel like we're in pretty good shape as we stand here today. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Well, no questions from me. Any questions from the right?
I feel like we got a lot of questions out during.
Any questions for left? Robert, I don't think we have any questions on that.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
It's about to get very, very, very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we move to section 8B, which is the Student Achievement Annual Report. Dr. G, where are we at with that?
And Dr. Fu will be presenting the results.
Okay, I'm here tonight to provide the annual update on student achievement, focusing primarily on STAR 3 through 8 and our end of course exams as well. And I included TELPAS. So this is the state assessment that was taken in the spring of 2024. The first set of graphs that I'm going to share is all of the subjects together, so all subjects, all grade levels. So this is broken up by racial groups as well as our subpopulations. So if you look in the middle, it's 2023, and then if you look in the left here, it's 2024, and then on the side, on the right side, you can see the difference. So where it's shaded green, that shows where we have shown improvement. Where it's shaded red, you can see where we've had slight dips, and then anything that's not shaded just means that we've stayed the same from last year. In doing this, I thought that it was interesting because they did change the format of the STAR test 2 years ago, and made it significantly harder for a number of reasons, which is part of why they have paused A-Through F accountability, just to make sure that the scoring is fair and equitable. So I did pull our scores for post-COVID, 2021, all the way to 2024. And so what you can see is across the board, every sub-pop for all of our subjects and grade levels on average, we have shown up to double-digit growth other than special ed. And that is something that we are hitting hard this year. And then this is just the different years, so 21, 22, 23, 24, and you can see the difference there. And so we have green across the board and the bottom line. So now I'll go into specific subjects. The graphs are in the same order, so in the middle it's 23, and on the left it's 24, and then you can see the differences. So for all of our students, we saw a slight decline in our approaches, and then we saw growth in our meets and masters. So The first column on differences, that's approaches, that means they passed. The middle column is meeting grade level according to the way that TA defines it. And then on the very right side, that is master's grade level. So you can see all of the differences here as well. And again, I provided 21 to 24 so that you can see, and almost across the board. Again, we have the bottom piece, which is special education, that we are going to be tackling hard this year as well. We saw up to double-digit growth. And so again, these are each of the different years, and you can see across the bottom growth. So what I did here is I created a graph so that you could see where KISD stands in regards to the state, in regards to the region. And so, for example, for grade 3, here you can see that across the board we showed growth in approaches, meets, and masters, while the region and state dips just a little bit. Grade 4, we saw growth in approaches and meets. Grade 5, we saw growth in meets and masters. And then in grade 8, we saw a sharp increase. This is in math, in meets and masters as well. So this is Algebra 1. So yeah, the junior high and the high school, typically the students who take Algebra 1 at the junior high are advanced students. We saw huge amounts of growth here, which is, I've not seen 48% growth before, so that's phenomenal. And then you can see where KISD falls in regards to how they compare to the state and the region. So while the state and the region stayed about the same, we did see good amounts of growth across our district. Another thing that I've created are some graphs to show cohorts. So you can see here, 3rd to 4th grade, 4th to 5th, 5th to 6th, 6th to 7th, and 7th to 8th. And then I have the same thing on the right-hand side where you have approaches, meets, masters. In the yellow, you can see KISD as compared to the state and the region. So 8th grade, they did great work this year. We have some places to address in 6th and 7th grade in terms of math that we're going to be looking at closely. We saw good gains from 3rd to 4th and 4th to 5th at the district level. And here is our RLA. So this is one of the tests that changed. It includes reading and writing at every grade level this year. So our 3rd grade students are not just responding to open-ended questions, but they're also having to type them. And so that has been something that we've been addressing through our typing programs to accelerate the speed in which they learn to use the keyboard. So here you can see all students, you can see the different subgroups. We have some areas where we did see declines. We also have some areas where we saw some jumps as well. So this went from 21 to 24. Again, almost across the board, we saw gains other than special ed, which is an area that we're going to tackle this year. And then again, 21 through 24, you can see overall we did see gains in RLA as well. And so the yellow box is where you can see how KISD compares to the region and the state. So in 3rd grade, we had a strong 3rd grade performance this year with 10% gains and the students scoring meets. We had a good showing in approaches at the 4th grade level. You can see we had 5th grade did show some improvement as well. So here you can see English 1 where KISD compares to the region and the state. This is something that I didn't share last year, but I think is interesting and something worth celebrating. So what you can see here is our writing scores in 2023 versus 2024. So if you look, for example, our 3rd grade average constructed response score in 2023 was 1.46. It almost doubled in 3rd grade up to 2.38. So we saw at the district level, we saw almost an entire point of growth, which is much more than the state, and it really shows that we did some great work in 3rd and 4th grade in terms of their constructive response last year. And so you see another 2.26 in 2023, up to 2.9. And then I included the blue boxes because I thought that it would be worth highlighting. So when you do a cohort analysis, you can see that our 5th grade students for 2023 saw a remarkable jump up to 3.51 in 2024. And then we had a strong showing in 7th grade in terms of the constructed response as well. So again, here you can see the cohort comparison for grades 3 through 8 for our RLA. And we saw good growth from 3rd to 4th, 4th to 5th, 5th to 6th. And then we're looking more closely at 7th. And then 8th grade, we did see an increase in their pitches. So social studies is a little bit different than math and ELA, because in social studies, they only take the 8th grade social studies test, and then they take US history as well. But when you look at all of the grade levels combined, you can see all of our students, we did see an increase from 23 to 24, and then we have quite a bit of green throughout our sub-pop groupings. And then from 21 to 24, we see a dip in the masters for all of our students, but we still do see some gains. So we have 11% jump for African American students in social studies from 21 to 24. And then across the board, we saw growth in the number of students who passed, and we did see a dip in our masters from 21 to 24. And so here's how you can see where KISD compares to the region and compares to the state. So this is a good thing to look at. When the state goes down, the region goes down, but KISD goes up. And we're above the state and the region. So we had a strong performance in 8th grade social studies this year. Same with our US history EOC. So you can see the growth on this side where you don't see it at the region state level. And then you can see where in KISD we were well above the state in approaches and meets, and right at the state masters. So in science, again, it's only tested 2 times. So we have 8th grade, and then we have biology as well. So for all of our students, we did see a decline, and I do want to say that there have been some questions about just the kinds of questions that were asked on the 8th grade science test, and so we did see that in Kennedale as well. I've had discussions with colleagues in other districts and just some questions about the way that the test was designed. So here you can see, overall, we did see an increase for all of our student groups, and then we do have some places where we did see some growth. Overall, since 2021, we have seen an increase in our masters, which is great. And then here's how you can, where you can see how KISD compares to the state and the region. So you'll see a celebration would be, oh, I'm sorry, I said 5th and 8th grade. A celebration would be in 8th grade, we dropped 9, but the state and region dropped 14%. There were some questions about the science test overall, just the developmental appropriateness of the questions, and so I'll be interested to see what it looks like this upcoming year as well. On our EOC, we did see growth in approaches. And then in TELPAS, I shared this last year, but TELPAS starts in 2nd grade. The students are required to type. Last year was the first year that the teachers weren't grading it, they did it on the computer. And so here you can see we were above the state in 3 through 12, and we were right at the state in K2. And then I thought this would be interesting for you. So we do use Map Growth as a progress monitoring tool. So we have the students take Map Growth 3 times a year. And part of the score report includes a projection for how students will do on the STAR. And so I did put together a table so that you could see how close the projections were. That's amazing. That's amazing. I've shared this with colleagues in other districts who were talking about maybe moving to MAP. So within a 1 to 2 point difference in several different categories. So it shows it is a strong predictor. You know, we have some places where we want to continue to grow and some places where we want to continue to focus our support. But we do have a strong predictor in terms of how the students are performing overall on the test. And then you can see here in Algebra 1 as well. We did move to the content level test. In reading, it was still a strong correlation, even though MAP growth doesn't include the constructed response. It was a strong correlation in reading as well. Still strong enough that it would be considered to be a strong predictor. So one thing that's interesting too, several colleagues in districts that I spoke to, they used the interim test that's released by TEA, and they had the issue where the interim test was predicting that their students would score much higher than they actually scored on the test. And so if you look, for example, at 4th grade, we did much better on STAR than we did in reading. So if anything, it gives us a place to continue to grow, as opposed to perhaps giving some people a false promise of success when that wasn't actually the case. So this is the part of the presentation where typically I talk to you about A through F accountability. TEA is prohibited from issuing the 2024 A through F accountability ratings until the court issues a follow-up order after the hearing, which has been postponed again to September 16th. It was supposed to come out on August 26th, it was postponed again. And so some of the questions about the way that essays were scored by AI and just the consistency across the scoring, we did see that in English 1 and 2 quite a bit in Kennedale, as well as there were some questions about the science test has led to that postponement. So what will be coming to you in September 2024 are presentations of the campus improvement plans by the principals. What are we doing well? What opportunities do we have? What are strategies moving forward? As well as the district improvement plan across the board. What are we doing at the district level to continue to support, which will focus quite a bit on implementation of high quality instructional materials and extra support in planning during PLC for our teachers by our instructional coaches that are funded with the ESSA grant. And that is what I have. What questions do you have for me?
So my question, I have a question and a comment. The first one, my question is high focus.
Yes.
What does that define?
I thought you might ask that, so I brought some notes.
Okay.
So it's the closing the gaps domain in A through F accountability, which used to be focused just on single sub-pops. So last year they moved to high focus groups. So they have the super group. So they look at the two lowest racial groups. So they take the two lowest performing ethnic racial groups, and that is what they're looking at. So every district is going to be different. And then they have the high focus groups, which is our special population. So economically disadvantaged, special education, current and former, emergent bilingual, and highly mobile.
And then my comment is, good job.
Thank you.
So there's growth across the board in the meets. And I know we focus a lot on approaches, but approaches won't get us where we need to be.
I agree.
Meets is where everybody needs to be to say that I'm actually, if I'm a 4th grader, if I'm at meets, I really understand 4th grade curriculum. Approaches just gets me to the door, not even in the classroom. So the fact that we have growth in the meets category in math and reading is very good. So hats off to principals, teachers, district staff. I'm looking forward to reading your CIPs because our African Americans, even though they grew, I'm very happy with that, but their numbers, you're still in the 30s, even with the 2%, 5%, 10% growth. So, but good job for Kennedale ISD.
Any additional questions regarding the I think Dr. Douglas had a question.
Yes. I don't know if, hopefully this is not an overly broad question.
If it is, I'll send you the email.
Yes. So these looked amazing. There's a lot of green, a lot of growth, a lot of double digits.
I changed the graphs this year, and I think that it made it easier to read.
So it was a very great presentation, yes. My question is a little bit of confusion on my part that when we have looked at MAP before as another measure, we had set specific goals for growth.
Sure.
And a lot of those we did not meet. But yet, like you said, MAP is sort of a predictor of STAR, but here we are really kind of doing a lot of great green for STAR. So how is that sort of discrepant, or is it? And I'm just not understanding.
Is that
it.
because our goals are our own internal?
The goals are
desire?
specific with specific metrics, so I'm gonna make up a number. I think I know what you're referencing, so
Yeah.
5% growth. So I highlighted anything that was 2% or higher.
Right.
And it's not, so the goals you might be looking across every grade level and content area, where here you can see it's broken up to meets, masters,
Right.
and approaches.
But if we're not, just speaking loosely in terms, if we're not showing the growth that we need, or that our goal is, then how are we showing so much progress in meets and approaches
So
and exceeds?
the-
Hold on.
So I gave a presentation earlier in the summer where I had the same kinds of graphs for map growth, and if you put this presentation side by side, there was a pretty close correlation.
Okay.
You have access to that presentation. It's in the board book. I'd be happy to send it to you again.
Okay.
There's not growth at every grade level, content area, every area, but overall, on average, there is lots of growth. But it may not have been up to the standard that the metrics that you set.
Okay, so there was overall growth that we can now see here. And like you said, specifically, you know, there's pockets, just like here, right? We're seeing some that are really out of the box growth or, you know, numbers there. Okay, so overall there's definitely enough growth to show these results, but there's still pocket areas and maybe not
Always
to the,
and absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, and and maybe not the level that we wanted to see it at. Okay.
So, not related to my question, but related to Dr. Douglas's question, STAR testing is measured differently, is it not? They look at it cumulatively about what everyone does across the state, and they come across who meets.
So it's scaled.
Yeah.
It is
To
scaled.
that, I feel like there's.
Yes, and it is scaled to fall absolutely on the bell curve, regardless of how well students do. So that does come into play.
Yeah, just a couple
Yes.
things there, and one's an internal goal versus
Right.
an external goal.
Yes,
Or an external
whereas MAP
metric.
growth is nationally normed.
Yeah.
So MAP growth, it has a RIT scale that is applicable in Texas and in California and in New York, whereas STAR is scaled within Texas.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so some might argue that we are chasing a moving target, and
Yeah.
I might agree sometimes.
100%.
That's the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm not able to present the eighth grade accountability.
So, I realize you're not able to present, but I've heard we have those projections. What are those
We have the
looking
projections
like?
based on the calculations that are currently being scrutinized by the attorneys.
Okay. Are we expecting them to go up, or are we expecting them to go down?
So I'm gonna,
How are they?
to not risk the lawsuit for the other districts, if districts start announcing what their scores are and what, you know, the projected scores at the state, that kind of defeats the purpose of
And it
suing the
mitigates the
state in the
claims,
first
says
place.
our
It
attorney.
mitigates what you're trying to do, so,
Got it.
yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
we're
Not
trying not to
discussed.
basically circumvent what everybody else is doing.
It's
by-
math, and we
I know
have
there are
done
some
math.
districts that they're already tooting the horn that, you know, they've done all this stuff or whatever, but the reality is that kind of defeats challenging what the state is trying to do, so.
And so keep in mind, there were some questions across the state and from myself about the way that the essays were scored. There was just some inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Several inconsistencies in the way the essays are scored, and when you look at the way the test is weighted, that's a big chunk of the scoring of the test. In addition, there's still some questions about CCMR, just a huge jump in the way that the scale was, and so in terms of the math, well, it depends. If you say CCMR is X percentage versus this other percentage, as it was in 2022, it's two completely different letters.
Okay. So, can you just remind me, when are we allowed to talk about it?
TA is prohibited from issuing the A through F accountability ratings until after the hearing, which has, as of today, yesterday been postponed to September 16th.
September 6th.
So it was supposed to come out, I think it was in mid-August, 'cause I had it on my
15th,
calendar.
I think it was
And then they
August 15th,
postponed
yeah.
it to August 26th, and then I got the email yesterday, they postponed it to September 19th, or 16th, sorry. So we don't know, but I will absolutely keep you posted. When and if those are released, I'll have a presentation for you with all of ours. I have the presentation done, but it's math, and so if it were to happen that the math changes, I would change the math on our calculations as well.
Litigation.
Okay.
So probably after the election.
Yeah,
It seems
move-
likely that it'll be after the election.
Oh, of course, of course.
Coincidentally.
Yes.
All right, okay. Any additional questions for Dr. Vu? All right.
Thank you, that
Then
was
thank
great.
you, Dr. Vu.
Thank you, Dr.
That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's great. That takes care of sections 8, and now we move to section 9, which is the superintendent's report.
And I'm gonna make mine very, very, very brief. So, we've had a lot of information, we've already heard very comprehensive analysis of our bond projects and where we are in our construction. We heard the budget going through there financially, feel like we're in very good shape there. The enrollment numbers, you heard those also through some of that. You have the numbers here. I'm really not gonna spend a whole lot of time going through a lot of reports, so unless if you are good, so we can move on. So, yeah. Do you have a question? Oh, okay, I thought you were ready.
You said enrollment 2742.
And that's moving up. I don't know if you were after that.
And I think they're, didn't you say they were
From
up to
the start date.
2760?
2742.
2742, with 22 still
2742,
still pending.
22 in process, and its start date was at 2705.
Everyone else is giving you all your numbers for you.
There you go.
All right, so Dr. G, is that going to be it for the superintendent's report?
That's it for me, if you are good with that, unless you want to know something else, so.
I'll ask the board, are any additional questions that they had that wanted to be addressed by Dr. G? Because I didn't have any. Okay, great. All right, so we'll then go to section 10, which is the board discussion. Okay. So we have an upcoming meeting for the special meeting for Robert's Rules of Order. And we need 2 options, date and time to send to Regional 11. We have a regular meeting scheduled for September 19th. That's going to work for everybody?
Yeah.
For Region 11, yes.
Well, that's our regular meeting.
That's our
September
regular
19th.
meeting, yes,
September
okay.
19th.
Yes,
Okay.
that's there.
So let's take a look at what about a date for our special meeting? We want to send them a couple dates. So
Wednesday?
You said we needed 6 hours for those, so we're trying to do it
Oh,
in
we need
September?
6 hours?
No, it's 3 hours.
3
Oh.
and 3?
3 hours.
no, it's just 3 hours.
Oh, okay, well then we can do it in the evening.
So take a look Tuesday or maybe even Wednesday.
Could we do a Wednesday, please?
You looking at which,
Might-
Wednesday the 18th?
What about the
18th sounds like
18th?
Well, the
18th
18th,
sounds good.
well, the 18th
Well, no, they
is,
haven't- we-
Two
we have-
days in a row.
We have a meeting on the
Oh,
19th,
that's 2
so we
days
don't
in a
want to
row,
do that.
yeah.
What about the 11th?
and the 18th has that Region 11 North Texas Association of School Boards meeting as well, on the 18th.
What about the 11th?
I can't do Wednesdays this month. It's
I cannot do
cross-country
the 11th. We have a,
Every Wednesday this month, I'm sorry. We have cross-country meets for the junior high.
All right. What about Mondays?
I can do Mondays if we do it at 6. Can't do anything earlier than
If we do what?
Maybe out on
that.
Mondays.
At 6, I can't do
6?
anything earlier than 6.
Maybe out on Mondays.
Mondays are,
I think we're out on Mondays.
we have Mondays?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're back to Thursdays.
Tuesday.
What about the 12th?
That's fine.
Or
Well,
Or Tuesday, the 12th? Oh, 10th, excuse me, sorry.
yeah, both those will work.
Does
Yeah.
Tuesday work for everybody?
Yeah.
The 10th?
Tuesday work?
I can try. I can't confirm.
Well, let's just work with what you know.
Yeah.
What do you know?
So I'm not available until November on Monday, Tuesdays, or Thursdays. So I save our regular board meetings, but for me to schedule something in for any of those days, I need to make sure my husband's in town.
Okay.
So I can, yes, I'm available right now, but I don't know what his work schedule is going to
So we
be.
said 10 or 12, and why
Right.
don't
So-
you find out?
I
and
know,
let us
no, I know for sure the 12th I'm not available.
Okay.
Well, I know that I think a lot of
Let's try
things we've
the
been doing, we've been kind of messing, butting with your schedule a lot, so I'm trying to work
Yeah.
within that. But it seems like,
So I can put in the 10th, and I can cross fingers that he doesn't get sent anywhere.
So why don't we cross fingers ourselves on the 10th then for our
Yes.
special meeting at 6 o'clock? Can we do that?
Yep.
September 10th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we do 6:30, so I'm not late?
6:30? Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, so I'm not late.
Yeah. So
That'll
let's-
be 3 hours.
Yes,
Is what it is.
I'm sorry, Peter.
I think we can,
We've been here
6:30?
later. That's okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've been here later.
Okay. All righty then, so we have that, and we have our regular meeting schedule as well.
6:19.
It's on 6/19.
It's on the 19th, yeah.
Yep.
Unless there's a reason to move it.
No.
I don't think anyone's have any reason to move it. If you have something, let me know, but I don't think no one's told me anything. I haven't heard anything from anyone.
Nope.
There's a reason to move it. All right, great. All right, and I think we have also, let's see,
Next week.
a special meeting next week.
We need to do that.
We're gonna need to do a special meeting next week for the contract. So we can do that on an early meeting.
When is that one next week? What day?
Well, we're talking about that
Sunset.
now.
Oh, okay, okay, deciding, okay.
What about like an 8 o'clock on Monday morning?
That's Labor Day.
I'm sorry,
I'm
you're
like, on
you're
Labor
absolutely
Day.
right. What about Tuesday?
I'm not available. on
Tuesday, I will not work for me, but every other day that week will work.
Okay, then what about next Wednesday at 8? Well, we have to give at least 72 hours, so.
Post it tomorrow.
What about
tomorrow.
Thursday the 5th then?
Thursday morning on the 5th?
Oh, we try to do mornings?
Yeah, we're gonna do morning. It's
Are
gonna
we,
be
are we
real
like,
quick.
are we making sure everybody's available? I'm definitely not available at 8 o'clock in the
We just
morning
need a-
any day.
We just need a quorum.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
just
I
need a
was like,
quorum for
I'm
this.
not available.
Okay, I can
Okay.
do you said no on Wednesday?
Wednesday?
Wednesday works.
Wednesday,
Wednesday
okay,
works.
so let's do Wednesday at 8?
I can
Can we do
Wednesday.
8:30? Because I
8:30?
have,
Yeah,
I'm not
drop
done
off.
with drop-offs at 8 a.m.
So let's
Just gotta be out at 9:15.
Okay, let's say Wednesday at 8:30.
Okay.
Chad, does that work?
What do we have in the, we have SIP and DIP planning on,
The 4th.
is that in CSS or is that here? It's where? At CSS, so.
I don't
we need
anticipate
to-
that being a
We can
long
do the conference room at the.
Okay, yeah, since we're
admin.
Okay, so we'll do 8:30 on next Wednesday, the 4th.
So we'll put it in the conference room.
Okay. And clock. 8:30, excuse me.
CSS.
Oh, conference room and admin.
The conference, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yes,
conference
CSS.
room.
She said
Okay.
CSS.
And so we're good with that. And then, so the TASB advocate, I think Dr. Doug's going to be attending that?
Yes,
Okay. And when is that date exactly?
that is September 27th, 28th, and 29th.
Okay. Well, good luck with that.
I think Dr. G is going too, right?
I'm going, yeah, I'm just gonna go down Thursday, Friday, and then I'm coming back Saturday.
Okay.
But I'm going down for TAM's
Okay.
board meeting also, so.
Okay.
I'll be down there.
Okay, and Region 11 is also going to have the North Texas Association of School Boards meeting on September 18th at 6. That's going to be in Arlington ISD. And then let Ashley know if you want to attend. Okay. Then the NTAASB membership renewal.
I don't know that we have ever joined that as a board, so that, you know, if you want to participate in that, and go to these meetings,
I've never, no one's brought it up to me, so.
there's more meetings.
Yeah.
More meetings.
Okay.
It's gonna raise your blood pressure more.
I just added 3 already for this month.
So a few upcoming events. The Education Foundation, you know, they have their Las Vegas night, their Vegas night on September 7th at 5.
Hopefully you've all bought your tickets by now.
And our first home game for our football team against the Porcupines will be September 13th at 7:30. Come out and support your Wildcats.
And we do have an issue with our elevator at the press box. It's not functioning, so access will probably be very limited.
Go up the
So
stairs.
I don't know that we're gonna have the VIP area opened up for that game. We're still trying to get it fixed. We're having issues with elevators. We got the high school fixed, but that one's a bigger problem, I think, so.
And then there'll be another home game, which is going to be against Dunbar High School on September 27th. That will also be at 7:30. So a couple opportunities there to come out, support the football team, support the band, support cheerleaders.
The Education Foundation.
The Education Foundation, and everything Kennedale Wildcat Green. All right. Okay, any questions regarding that? And Dr. G, I'll go to section 11. You know, there's the resignations and retirements.
We have the one thing, I don't know if we necessarily have to go into closed session for it, contract assignment. Do y'all want to go into closed session on that, or do you want to?
I think we should.
Just deal with it. Okay, so then we'll be in closed session.
11B, the hiring personnel, all the names listed there. Anything additional about that?
Can be discussed in closed session.
Can be discussed in closed session, okay. All right, so I guess everything else will be discussed in closed session. So we're going to, I guess we'll
Let's get these fun folks out of here.
Yeah, we will take a 5-minute recess, and we'll let you guys get out of here. Current time is 8:02 p.m. So we'll reconvene at, let's say 8:10. How about that? We'll do it 8 minutes, and we'll reconvene at 8:10. To open session at 8:24 p.m. Okay, we are now back from closed session. We are now to section number 11C, which is the abandonment of contract and contract sanction of Cody Bircher.
I move to authorize the superintendent to request sanctions on the teacher certification of Cody Bircher, finding that good cause did not support the employee's abandonment of contract.
Second.
That is motion by Mr. Glovier and second by Ms. Cruz Perez. All in favor, let it be known by the sound aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. All right, that brings us to number 12. Mr. Glovier.
Mr. President, I move to adjourn this meeting and get up out of here.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:25.